Now, we are here for a brief discussion about robotics and warfare. Now, you might wonder, what does that really have to do? It's been a dream for many, many decades, having robots, fully automated robots in warfare. Sounds great, but there are many hurdles. But we're overcoming those hurdles thanks to systems becoming faster, systems being more robust. One of the things that we're seeing now are UAV drones that are out there. That was pioneered about 20 years ago, and since then it's become very, very popular for many militaries in the world to have these drones. Now, this is just an extension of the hobbying craft of remote controlled airplanes. But now when you have an unlimited budget, it makes your remote controlled airplane much bigger, much better. So it makes it fun for those people. But in terms of robotics, there's many possibilities with that. For example, a plane that could remain aloft for 24 hours, could do just surveying, or what Google is trying to do now and Facebook are trying to do, are having planes circle the globe. And that is very interesting. That's in terms of UAV. But this is where robotics becomes very important, because you have to write the software and design the robot or the plane, the UAV, so that it could stay aloft for 10 hours, 20 hours. Now, often when you have situations like this, you have the military starting to show an interest. And of course they are, because they have budgets and nations have to protect themselves. So with UAVs, they've really made a lot of progress, both from drones and from also military applications. Now, another aspect is like tanks, for example, with robotics. Now, some countries have developed the tanks where one tank acts as part of a group of tanks, but it's just interconnected with the other tanks. So you have like a small battle group of tanks controlled by one tank. Think of the implications there. There's so many different ways that that could be used. And then even now, you have countries examining the idea of having underwater unmanned vehicles, completely automated, where they work on their own. This is sort of like a doomsday device, where just say, you have things go wrong in the country. Well, now you have an unmanned vehicle that surfaces, gets its information, goes down, surfaces, gets its information, goes down. So there are many implications for what can be done for robotics in terms of future work. Now, because of that, you have the United Nations wanting to play a role. And one of the roles they're playing in Geneva is trying to create some guidelines for how robots should be used, what should be done with the robots. Now, this is a very difficult aspect of robotics, because how do you enforce compliance? How do you monitor whether people are following the rules that they said they were going to follow? How do you just get people to agree? Because sometimes there are robotics that could have multiple uses, like a tank with other tanks along with it. It could be used, that kind of technology could be used for trucks that might be in a certain field that need to pick up things. So there's many different applications and ways of robotics that need to be discussed. And we're still in the initial phase. So this is where we're still trying to figure out what the rules of the game are. But I know very quickly the rules of the game will be sorted out, because you'll have people trying to question that. Well, let's just look at cars, driverless cars. That's all the rage right now, but there's so many implications with that. If a car has an accident, who pays if there's an accident? Who's responsible? Who's negligent? So you can see from just a simple standpoint of cars versus robots in the air versus robots on the ground versus robots under the sea, there's so much that needs to be sorted out.